we want to close today just as we started this morning, just with a thank you for spending and investing this time in helping us get to the North Star. So, and I'm going to read because I was writing notes down since this morning. And what we learned from Simeon and some of these things are reinforcing that we need to pay attention to. Remember the North Star of equity. Remember that North Star of equity. And those who believe in equity, we know that our actions can actually get us there. Equity requires action. Policies that are racially neutral do not address longstanding disparities. Harm that has been done needs specific action in order to undo it. Kind of like the fact that we have this disparity in infant mortality and morbidity. We have to actually do something specific to BIPOC, for BIPOC mothers, with BIPOC mothers, in order to reverse that. If we desire economic gains, those gains must be anchored in equity. Equity has to be our fulcrum. He also said, Simeon that is, let's introduce greenlining into the Rochester's lexicon. Let's introduce greenlining into Rochester's lexicon. The acknowledgement by the bank presidents this morning, they all acknowledge that they have much, much more work to do with respect to getting us to a space where people are going to say, you know what, I have equal access to financing, whether it's for my business or owning a home. Gina Kahler, she said, the fight for justice, not only in the streets, not only do we need to fight in the streets, but we need to fight in the seats. I like that. Not only do we need to fight in the streets, but we also need to fight in the seats. And again, specifically those seats that we sit in, all of us need to can play a role in this quest for justice. Again, I mentioned what Sharita said. Data is important, but does not tell the full story. People's lived experiences, their stories are what's very, very important. Sharita Bullock also said, being black is not the risk factor. Being black is not the risk factor, though. The way that systems respond to black and brown people is the risk factor. We have to change the response. So again, what we in the field refer to as victim blaming, we need to stop that. The systemic response is what we need to look at. Resoundingly with this panel, we need a BIPOC birthing center as a response to the infant mortality and the adult morbidity. We need a BIPOC birthing center. We can no longer accept the disparity. I mean, people are literally dying, folks. We have to stop that. And one of the ways to stop that, not the only way, but one of the ways to stop that, to reduce that disparities, is to have a BIPOC birthing center. Dr. Weber mentioned that sometimes we need to educate our physicians. How profound. Sometimes we need to educate the physicians. Again, no fault to these physicians, because I don't know yet of any medical school that has a culturally responsive tract. Does anybody know? Maybe Dr. Weber should teach that. Sometimes we need to educate the physicians. Addressing systemic racism will lead to reduced health disparities. We need more BIPOC people in this field, in addition to culturally responsible professional development for all in the mental health and the maternal health field. With respect to laws, both Senator and the Assemblyman mentioned that they're looking at laws that specifically address infant mortality and morbidity for BIPOC women. We are going to follow up on that. And please let us know, Assemblyman Bronson and Senator Brooke, how we can help. If we need to go to Albany to tell people, we will, because we realize it's our advocacy, our action is what's going to get us to that North Star of equity. Representation matters. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. This is just day one. Next Thursday, 8:45, we will open the room, so to speak, and we're looking forward to your participation. We have Professor P.L.O. Lumumba joining us all the way from Nairobi, Kenya. If you do not know who this man is, That's your homework. Google him, Professor P.L.O. Lumumba. I was fortunate enough to meet the professor when I was in Kenya a couple of months ago, and he almost on the spot agreed to keynote for us next week. So he's going to be talking to us about anti-poverty and economic development issues that are working on the continent of Africa. Somebody said, spell his name. I see you. Lumumba, Lumumba. I'll put it in the chat. L-U-M, Lumumba, Lumumba. And PLO is just those initials, letter P, letter L, letter O. So again, thank you, everyone. I'm getting ready to close the poll now. I see some of you are still filling out. I'm going to keep it. So Carol Tigas, thank you very much. She's on it. So he's going to be our keynote next week, and we're going to be specifically talking about the panel discussion about options for funding economic development in our marginalized neighborhoods. Some of the questions that came up this morning were about that. So we are going to be focused on that next week. Again, grounding in our theme, economic justice for an inclusive recovery. So we're going to end the poll now, and we're going to run our slideshow again because we want to make sure that we give adequate time for our sponsors. And again, our major sponsors of this are, again, M&T Bank as our presenting sponsor, KeyBank, Excellus Blue Cross Blue Shield, ESL Federal Credit Union, and the University of Rochester Medical Center. We are thankful. And of course, we have many other sponsors that are going to come up in this slideshow. Again, we're thankful for such what so far looks like a really successful day one of our conference. And we know that this is not a transaction. The work that follows is what's going to get us to the North Star. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I'm going to close my mouth so you can look at our slideshow again. And I saw some of you comment that you like our playlist. We see you. Thank you very much. See you next week.